Welcome to Teatro Absurdo with Huilo Marvavilla, brought to you by Jaguar Bridge Productions and The Great Mystery. Well, hello there, podcasters. Welcome to Teatro Absurdo. I'm Willow Marvavilla, and this is Series 3. Welcome aboard to that which is ludicrous, preposterous, crazy, and, if you're lucky, dazzling. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Teatro Absurdo. I'm Huilo Marvavilla, your hostess with the mostest. Thank you for tuning in again. And here we are diving deeper and deeper into art and science, symbolism, the great mystery for those of you that are tuning in for the first time of some paintings that I constructed called the Jaguar Portal series that have mysteriously been destroyed through various actions of arson and psychotic breakdown of other people upon my works. So through this process of Teatro Absurdo, what is absurd? I think it's absurd anybody destroying art. I mean, think about, there's the infamous Diego Rivera, in his mural that was placed in Rockefeller Center in New York City, and he defied the funders of his work to not put in the face of Stalin, yet he was like, fuck you, I'll take the check. And I'm putting Stalin in. And those people tore down the mural. So art has always been a controversy to some degree. I mean, there are several, in the older days where religious moguls, leaders, whatever they were, would not allow certain things in artistic expression. People could be jailed as heretics, etc. And certainly we see throughout modern art has been controlled, censored, or developed to maintain a certain political philosophy or spectrum. So that said, as these podcasts develop, we're looking more and more into the artworks here that I have generated in order to, build the possible threat that they could have produced to any kind of energy, whether it's the seen or the unseen. So you have, and I will go deeper and deeper into this, but the unseen energies, sinister entities or inorganic beings, that have been described through the Castaneda, Carlos Castaneda realms, and then just people who may hate or despise what art represents, a certain piece. I mean, we see that in the demonstration of artworks having paint splattered on them, etc., in museums, to push back at the idea of the 1%, the superficiality of art as a means for wealth, to represent wealth. So there's that. And then there's just the individual that people think if I can destroy something that someone has created, beauty, certainly, that I have power over them. So it's very interesting that people want to have power over what art represents. So we're already in it, deeper and deeper. All right, so behind me, some of you can see, for those of you who are just tuning in, and listening, I will do my best to describe this next painting that we're unpacking. And it was, I think, called the Lotus Heart, or represented heart knowing. So what is heart knowing? I mean, there's many scientific studies now about the neural energies of the heart, that there is some ability to sense, to know, to ponder, not just through our mind, but through our heart. So there are different, I think, levels of nervous systems in the body and how we comprehend our experience in day-to-day love, beauty, nourishment, all these different, and how we certainly perceive reality, right? So I think in these Jaguar portal paintings, what I'm ultimately doing was trying first for myself to understand, is there any way out of the mundane overlord consciousness? And so the first thing, I mean, in this particular painting, goes way more detailed, that it begins to unpack fixed states or ideas of reality. So there are 5 levels in the painting, sort of, I guess, hierarchical, because one is smaller to a larger one and one is below another one. So suggesting some sort of moving up through something. So in the painting at the top is a large jaguar, feline, godlike energy. It's very hallucinogenic, developed with patches of paint in the face, rather than an exact realistic representation of a panther, jaguar. This is a more mystical representation. I will go into what technique was used because it is really interesting in this particular painting. But for now, so that jaguar is sort of reaching out, umbrellaing over these 5 levels represented below that are sort of transparent planes. Okay, so the bottom plane shows 2 volcanic mountainous representations. I think one volcano is going off, the other is dormant. So that suggests a more primitive state of consciousness, cause and effect. When a volcano erupts, it destroys, yet it also generates fertile ground for new beginnings and nourishment. So moving on up becomes the technosphere, the analytic mind, the one that analyzes numbers and charts and, overly, I would say, scientific, perhaps. And so it has charts on 2 sides of the plane, some going up, some going down. Moving on up is the next level, and this shows forests, trees representing, of course, the infamous tree of life. And on one side, you have vibrant growth of forest trees. On the other side of the plane of consciousness, you have the destruction of the life force, the vitality. So this is the conundrum, I think, that humans are in right now, where nature has become objectified as only a resource. Until now, sentient beings are starting to realize that, wait a minute, everything on this planet has a right to live, has a different kind of consciousness other than human. So there's the natural consciousness, that we are part of the Gaia concept. We are part and share this planet with many, many possibilities and creatures that are very necessary and interwoven to our own survival. Rising up to the next level, the next plane of consciousness is the ethers, represented here by cloud beings. I've always been fascinated personally by clouds. I mean, who isn't, from the standpoint of a child? And the beauty of clouds and the terrifying essence of clouds, as we see the storms rising up, which are generated by a conflicting energy in the atmosphere, either cold and hot coming together, etc. And we see them being resolved through spiral energy, hurricanes and tornadoes, is a resolution of a conflict through destruction, perhaps. Clouds represent the etheric, the ideas, the something floating above us, so something that's unobtainable. It's always interesting in the physiology. I do not understand this completely, so if you want to map this out to more degree, study the physiology of clouds, but they weigh tons. So, you know, with the water and their chemical makeup, so how the hell do they float? I don't know. Islands in the air. So next, moving up to the top level, top plane is completely, well, I've used the word etheric, but I think this is really the etheric plane. So it's very open, and it's represented by white light, clarity. Each plane is transparent. Which suggests, you know, the transparency of consciousness, that every time we gain one level, it feeds into the next level, into the next level, into the next level. One is not activated without the other necessarily. I don't know, follow that. If not, smoke a joint, you'll figure it out. So the top level being, perhaps in this painting, something to achieve the oneness of consciousness. On this level, certainly is the lotus flower, you know, which is a flower that comes from the depths, comes from decay. I've actually grown, as I said before, lotus flowers, and they grow at the depths of ponds, and they rise up to create this beauty, five-starred petal. So in this painting, there are 10 lotus flowers, a symbol of manifestation in some qualities of numerology. So it's inviting that by considering different levels of consciousness, one can manifest or bring about a more unified consciousness, you know, which the top plane in this painting is unifying all the different levels of consciousness, the technosphere, the cause and effect consciousness, the primal consciousness, the Gaia concept, the etheric spirit, deity, godlike consciousness, all of them together. So in this painting, again, we see symbols of the butterfly coming in from, on this, from my perspective, the left side, the feminine side, metamorphosis, changing from one physiology, mass, congealed state of body, morphosis, the worm, to getting wings and becoming this glorious being that lives for a very short time. And what does it feed off of? Flowers and the nectars and the sweetness of the gods. So you also have a hummingbird coming in from the right, you know, the more masculine energies, also from new beginnings, the east. And again, the hummingbird representing moving in lots of directions, something very tiny. Hummingbird hearts were revered as a deep symbol of love. So love coming in, metamorphosis coming in. So at the top of this painting are two clown-like, shamanic, heyoka figures, the trickster, the jester. announcing, uh, um, sort of probably stewing the consciousness levels together, to becoming one. And they're also messengers of the jaguar, which again here representing the subtle energies, when we can connect to planes of consciousness that are out of the 3D mind mentality, which is constant conflict and polarization. We can reach a state of where all is one, all is connected. Um, so what's interesting in this painting is there's a human figure behind all the levels of consciousness, which I just described. They could be more one representing masculine, feminine, the dualistic state. The human is split at the head, but still joined at the chest. There are two hearts at the base of the painting, heart representing love, empathy, feelings, emotions, driving our thoughts. So this is, again, at the level of where symbolism begins to drive how we're interpreting reality. I think in this painting, if you see at the center of the painting, there's sort of a tornado spiraling energy that goes down through the planes of consciousness. There's water dripping down through the different planes of consciousness in this water, suggesting imagination, psychic energy, the divine fluidness, all these things that go on with the potentiality of awakening or expanding one's consciousness. So in this painting, as I was mentioning earlier on, one of the techniques that is being used in this painting, and if it's illumined in the right way, there were interference powders used, which are applied with a resin, a gel-like substance. It blends the no-no of the acrylic and the oil fields, not the actual oil fields in Texas, but the oil material-based paints, and blends them together over acrylic. But what it does do is it begins to refract light and creates this sort of interdimensionality, hallucinogenic quality. So the light would come in from halogen lamps above, if placed right. And if you look at the painting, it does look like it's got, interdimensional qualities. So that means just like the painting's almost coming out of the canvas, the images. And in this case, the jaguar has that quality. What's interesting is this painting did survive. It lives in the East Bay, and if you're lucky enough, you can track it down and maybe see my friend who has the painting. So again, I just want to reach out that there is a new generation of these paintings coming out in New York City in October. In the autumn of this year, there'll be 30 paintings. I don't know if all of them will be able to be exhibited, but some of them will be. And as we continue to dive into what makes people repulsed, fear, or turn off the potential of art, and an overly objectification of something that is really, really magical. I mean, look at, the sensation of, the Mona Lisa and Da Vinci, right? And the Da Vinci Code and all these things that go on. What was really going on in his witchcrafting, And so subsequently in this film, Cries of a Jaguar, I mean, there's the discussion of the larger societal issues of colonization through New Ageism, and just the complete puppetry, the war on drugs that's going on in Costa Rica and Latin America, etc. And then there's this mystery of how, there's the anger where arsons are set. And then there's the mystery that, wow, these paintings, the earlier ones, got completely destroyed. So part of me in the sensationalism of storytelling, of course, I'm looking at this and saying, well, that's pretty weird, because these paintings, which I'm trying to present to you in the absurdity, is that I'm trying to present to you the magic of art. So, my dears, I bid you adieu. This is a shorter one, and we'll continue to keep unpacking these paintings and the absurdity of what has happened to art in our society, and how we can pull back in the significance of what we're feeding our visual cortex, and thus expanding our consciousness in this one life we have right now as whoever we are into the next. So there we go. Many, many blessings. Until we meet again, hocus pocus, tokus wokus, bippity boppity boop. Ciao, Bella. Bitch, please. Bitch, please. And that was it, my dear friends. Teatro Absurdo Series 3, brought to you by Jaguar Bridge Productions, angels, guardians, guides, and perhaps a few demons, if you're lucky, from the underworld. So tune in to us on all the major social circuits around the universe. Bye-bye.